every game. And, we got to continue to do the same. I know we got a locker room that's hurting. Feel like it's, there's always, I guess, a common feel in the locker room after a loss. But, these guys, I have no doubt in my mind that they poured everything into the preparation. Just frustrated we can't get over the hump.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Join us tonight for Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, live at 6 p.m. Central from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CB&S Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, we say welcome in to another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, welcome in on a Monday morning. It is a Monday morning that sees you have your good, the bad, and the ugly from college football. We do it each and every Monday, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us throughout the 2 hours this morning. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. Their doors have just opened. They are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. It's Bill Penny Toyota. Don't forget, right now, you buy 3 tires, you can get the 4th one for $1. It's safety meets savings. And if you bring your car in, they also have the reliability, versatility, rentability. That's right. You can rent a Toyota for $15 per hour, maximum of 4 hours, then charges to the daily rental rate of the vehicle. Now, if it's over 4 hours, any payments that you've made toward the hourly rental will be applied to the daily rental rate. So just go on out here. If you got to leave your car for a longer period of time, Bill Penny will take care of you. All right, good, the bad, the ugly from college football on Saturday. And obviously you have to start with what happened in Knoxville on Saturday. Tennessee getting the 24-17 win over Alabama inside Neyland Stadium. After the game, Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer was asked about his message not only to the players, but to the Alabama fans after the game.
Coach, we've struggled the last few games, but with a lot of football left to play. What's the message to the fan base after this loss?
Well, I told the guys, and so the message to them is, get back after it and get to work, and first of all, do some soul searching, right, and look inward. And I know there's enough guys that still believe, that still want to, go do what we want to do. There's a lot of season left for not just us, but everyone. And it's going to go fast if we don't take advantage of it. That urgency's got to be there. There's no question. And, we get a chance to get back home, but we got to go to work first before we play that game and find a way to take the next big jump. A lot of guys that we got to now incorporate into schemes offensively and defensively, just with some guys going down. So, they're getting an opportunity right now too to help build depth. But we got to make the plays to go win right now. And that's where we're just falling short. So, make sure our minds are right, make sure our heart's in the right place. And then all I know is that you just go back to work. That's the only thing you can do. And that's what always done, and that's what these guys, just having a talk in the locker room, really firmly believe that that's what they want to do too. And so, don't lose belief in these guys, because there's a lot of guys making some big sacrifices in ways that, you'll never know. People will never know because they just keep plugging away, and it might be physical things and stuff like that. But, they're working hard, and they have a lot of pride in who they are individually and who we are as Alabama.
All right, that's Kalen DeBoer after the loss to Tennessee on Saturday. His message to the fans and the message he told his team.
Yeah, the ugly was Jalen Milroe, the worst game of his career. He was absolutely atrocious. Probably the worst game I've seen an Alabama quarterback play since Jalen Hurts, when he rolled right and ran or threw out of bounds in Jordan-Hare Stadium against Auburn in 2017.
Yeah, his QBR Saturday was 65.3.
Well, it should have been 0.00 because it was absolutely horrendous. He, threw 2 interceptions, one in the end zone, one to seal the game. People can complain about the offensive line, the play calling, and all that kind of good stuff, but it's all on 4. He was right. Terrible. They gave him time to throw. Guys were running wide ass open the whole game. He was nuclear loose. He didn't throw with any accuracy whatsoever. He predetermined he was throwing to Ryan Williams no matter what the coverage was, because they gave him 18 targets when he had other guys running wide open. Should have been distributing the ball like a point guard, which he says all the time, but he certainly didn't do that Saturday. He had a few opportunities to use his legs. He's back to the mode of being reluctant to run. Some people are trying to say, well, is he banged up or is he hurt? Here's all I got to say. He threw the ball 45 times on Saturday. He played the entire game. He's healthy enough to play. Okay. Bryce Young played in the same place 2 years ago with one arm and played a million times better than Jalen Milroe. And I understand they're different type of players, but it's what I'm talking about is the toughness and the ability to execute.
Right.
And then the bad is a couple things. One, the penalties, and both teams were highly penalized. I mean, this was a flag fest.
Oh, there was a combined 26 penalties. And if you add up the yards, it's 200. 210 yards or something like that was the total amount of penalties.
Triple digits, basically, in penalties. So it didn't decide the game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that for Alabama, where it was ugly was the last penalty helped decide the game, and that was what time is it? He should still be running.
7:06.
His ass should have been running like an hour ago, and he should still be running. I don't give a damn how much NIL money he makes or whatever. And I tell him, if you don't like it, get on a Greyhound bus and get out of here. We really don't care.
Right.
But I mean, Kendrick Law walking away from the guy, then turns around and slaps him. And of course, boo hoo hoo, it should have been offsetting penalties. Yes, it should have been, but who cares? You don't turn around and smack the guy, because you go from 4th and 7, and Nuke LaLoosh is going to have a hard enough time converting that, but then it ends up being 4th and 22.
Yes.
And then I know people say, well, if Ryan Williams had blocked the guy, he might still be running. They check to a screen on 4th and 22. I mean, you got to throw the ball.
After a timeout, that's the call that you come up with.
Well, nobody checked. He also checked at the line of scrimmage, and I think Kalen DeBoer was falling on the sword for that.
Right.
But this is my other bad. They've given Jalen Milroe way too much autonomy with this offense. Last year, Tommy Rees and Nick Saban basically checked for him at the line of scrimmage, had some training wheels on it. They still need it, because he tried to check. I mean, Scott, if you saw the first 3 snaps of the game offensively, it was an absolute a dumpster fire. The ball's hitting Milroe in the face. He didn't catch the snap. They're running the play clock down, nearly getting delay of game penalties as he's trying to check off and they can't hear. I mean, they should.
Is that lack of preparation, or is that Jalen Milroe trying to do too much?
Too much. They're giving him too much. Because this offense is very QB centric from the neck up, and that's not Jalen Milroe's strength. He's a great athlete, great arm, but you need to help him manage the game. That's part of managing the game. And they're letting him try to check at the line, and he was doing it he was taking way too long to do it. It was too slow, and then and then guys are having to, make sure they got their assignments with 1, 2, 3 seconds left on the play clock. And I think it led to some of the false starts and some of the penalties. And then one of the holding penalties on Caden Proctor was because Milroe held the ball for an hour and a half and just did not get rid of it, double pumped, and then threw it into the third row. See, for me, it made me so sick I had to stick my head in the toilet about 8 years ago, but it was roll right and throw it out of bounds. Well, now it's turned into roll out and throw it into the third row, because that's basically what he's doing. I mean, he had opportunities to run the football 3 or 4 or 5 times. He should have done that. And then he had open receivers. I mean, late in the game, before the offsides penalties that the refs missed on a 3rd down and 10, would have made it 3rd and 5. But guess what? On 2nd down, Ryan Williams was by himself.
Right.
They played zone defense. If he'd have made an accurate throw, he would have had a chance to run after catch. It definitely would have been a 1st down. We don't know what with his ability to run and make people miss, what he could have done. He overthrew the guy by 10 yards because he was throwing off his back foot needlessly. I mean, he just played an incredibly horrendous game. The only thing that you could say that was good about the Alabama performance, I thought the defense for the first half played really well. And they got 3 turnovers. If you had told me before the game, hey, Alabama's going to get 3 turnovers, I'd have said, well, they got a good shot at winning. Now, second half was a little bit rough defensively, but I'll just say this is part of the good. Down the stretch, they gave the quarterback, Jalen Milroe, 4 chances. One up 17-14, twice down 21-17. And then finally, even after all that, the screen and all that, they gave him the ball back with over a minute to go. Down 24-17, and every time Milroe did not even come close to driving the ball down the field. See, I picked Alabama in a close game in this one because I thought Milroe, being a 4th-year junior, I thought he would outplay Nico Iamaleava and Alabama would win the game. Instead, while Nico didn't play great and he threw a horrendous
he was 194 yards, a touchdown, an interception. His QBR, if you really looking at it, was 81.2. So he was not
he
exceptionally better.
And the backup threw a horrendous pick, and his only snap basically when Nico got hurt his back. Yes. But I got to give Nico credit. He sucked it up and he played. He only missed a snap or 2. But Nico, what he did do though is he made 2 big time throws that I thought Jalen Milroe would make.
Right.
Now, what Nico can do, unlike Milroe, is he can roll out and throw the ball on the run. He threw a strike to Thornton down there. And look, Alabama, they one thing that was bad too, and this is something you can't control, is Alabama had a lot of injuries in the secondary in this game. They lost 3 safeties. Devontae Smith went out. Keon Sabb went out. No question about that. And they had guys just in and out of the lineup the whole game in the back end of the secondary. At the end of the game, you had Bray Hubbard, who made a big tackle, King Mack. And what I was going to say is King Mack, he had really good coverage on the fade into the end zone where the winning touchdown for Tennessee. But it was a perfect throw from Nico. He threw it to the pylon, which is what Jalen Milroe should have done in the first quarter when he threw an interception. So I got to give Nico credit. As a young player, he wasn't pretty at times. And then he made a big scramble to set up their first touchdown where he made King Mack miss. King Mack was lined up wrong, but he juked him, and he has some juke to him where is Jalen Milroe. He has stiff ankles and really can't make you miss. I just thought overall in the clutch, it was a very winnable game for Alabama, but Tennessee made the plays to win it. One other thing and this is good, and this is for Tennessee as far as that good is Nico Iamaleava in the clutch. What did I say about, Dylan Sampson? He was amazing in the second half. And see, Alabama should have been up 17-0 at the half, and then they might have had to abandon the running game. But they're only down 7-0, so they kept feeding Dylan. He did a great job. And then, I thought that was good for Tennessee. And then I thought their defense. Look, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure if it was truly elite,
right? Truly
one of the best in the SEC. Oh, it is, no question. Great defensive line. Pierce is a really good player. They got depth there, and their secondary, even though there was opportunities where Alabama should have exploited it, they did not. And I thought their secondary was very physical. They hit Ryan Williams hard, and Ryan Williams did, and that's part of the good for Alabama. He played well. He really they stood up to the physicality, but you got to give Tennessee credit. They were the better team. They won the football game, and now it's finally a rivalry again. You can officially say that Alabama had come in winning 17 out of 18. It's now 17 out of 19. They've lost 2 of their last 3, and the last 2 at Neyland Stadium, and it's a rivalry again. And Tennessee gets the dub, and another, I guess, Steve Molden took a picture of it. I guess the goalposts are in the river again.
Yeah, they are. Tennessee's updated national rankings on defense. This just tells you how good they have been. This is after the Alabama game. They are number 4 now in scoring defense, number 4 in total defense, number 2 in rush defense, number 3 in tackles for loss, number 2 in third down defense, number 5 in fourth down defense, number 6 in red zone defense, and number 1 fewest plays of 30-plus yards this season.
Yeah, I mean, and that's tremendous. And that Tim Banks, who's their defensive coordinator, came over from Penn State. I got to give him credit because he came in with Josh Heupel, and in the last 2 or 3 years, they have transformed that defense because it was horrendous. It was really bad when they got there, and he was trying to, Heupel was trying to turn that program around, and they basically had to outscore people in just about every big game. And I thought after watching Florida, by the way, we'll talk about Florida here in a minute. I thought when another reason I thought Alabama had a chance to win this game is I saw Florida running the ball on them. And I thought, well, Alabama will have a chance to. Wow. And at times Alabama did. But again, Milroe passed up opportunities. And then I'll just continue to say this to the fans who you got to feed the tailbacks. Why can't they get going?
20 carries between Jam Miller and
that's fine.
Haynes.
But see, here's the deal. The whole second half, you're pretty much playing catch up because by the middle of the third quarter, they got up 14-10. Alabama had that one good drive where they got up 17-14, where Milroe hit a couple throws and Justice Haynes took the ball into the end zone, but they could never get a grip on it. And again, part of the running game is Milroe. He's got to make some plays. It helps the tailbacks, in my opinion. And a lot of what Alabama's problem has been in the last 3-4 weeks is they can't get ahead in the football game and put it away. They can't, because Kalen DeBoer, to his core, what Kalen DeBoer wants to do is be balanced. He almost wants to throw to set up the run and get the lead and start running the football in the second half. But they haven't been able to do it, and most of it is because the execution from the quarterback is not very good, and he just doesn't fit this system. And I was worried about this the whole offseason. I think I told you about this from the neck up that I was like, I love Jalen Milroe's athleticism. I love how he's improved as a player, but can this offense that's different, how will he fit it? He got off to a pretty good start, but as you have seen, since everybody has film and they watch it and they start defending you a different way, in the last month, it's on that plane where it's just getting worse and worse. And now I don't really know what's going to happen against Missouri. I've made a pick on another show. I picked Alabama to beat Missouri because they're back at home. Yeah. And we're going to talk about it in a second. I watched the Missouri-Auburn game, was not impressed with Missouri. Thought Auburn, that's another game to me. Auburn should have won. And they just botched a field goal, screwed some stuff up late. I felt like Auburn should have won the game, but I really don't know what to think now because I'll be honest, this coaching staff at Alabama and this football team, the players as a whole, because right now, the players have the power. This is a player-run team. Milroe has got to find a way to play good football because if he doesn't, Alabama doesn't stand much of a chance. And I'm not calling for a quarterback change. I don't think he's
I know some Alabama fans are.
I know
there's Alabama fans there. Yes,
I don't see that happening. Even as poorly as Milroe played, we didn't see it happen with Jalen Hurts. I don't think so. It's tough to bench a captain. Okay, it's tough to bench a captain that won an SEC title and went to the playoff last year and back the coach when he came here. It's very difficult. Now, I will say one more loss, if they lose to Missouri or whether it's LSU after the bye and you're out of SEC championship game contention, you're out of playoff contention, then I would play another quarterback because it doesn't even matter. Right. Because to me, Jalen Milroe is not going to be here next year. He's either going to go to the NFL
or he's going to go in the portal.
Or he's going to the transfer portal to be now your starting quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles or wherever. Yeah. That's where he's going to be because they've got to go to another quarterback that fits this offense.
All right, let's get our first break in. I know the phone lines are starting to fill up. Let's get our break in. When we come back, we will go out there. It's your good, the bad, the ugly from college football weekend. Bama Bino and Sean will get to you guys right after the flip side.
No, we haven't heard.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they've canceled Himsey on that wreck, Madison Boulevard and County Line. So they're going to update that one to a no injury. Got a no injury, Research Park and Old Madison Pike. That one may have some westbound blockage. I'm not sure on it. Everything else seems to be in order this morning. You be careful on your ride in. Don't let the cooler temps catch you without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check your system before it's too late. Discounts for military, law enforcement, and seniors. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The best local sports talk with the best in college football. A perfect combination. Hi, this is Chris Stewart. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That's good there. A little good feel to it. Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota. It's your good, the bad, the ugly from your weekend of college football. And boy, oh boy, we had a lot of college football, a lot of ugly, a lot of good, a lot of bad all around. Let's get out to the phone lines first before we check in on everybody else. Let's go to Bama Bino this morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
I hadn't talked to you guys in a while.
That's what I was just saying when we went to break, man. We hadn't heard from you. I hope you're still recovering and doing well.
Oh, I'm doing fine. Started back work some. Since July the 13th, I've been listening to podcasts, and I'm just anxious about this election and anxiety. But I still listen to y'all every morning. But this left coast football call on, I just had to comment on something.
Okay.
We're ahead. Okay, we're ahead in the first half. We got the ball first and goal on the 3 freaking yard line.
I know what you're
You
about
don't
to say.
throw the football. You do not throw the football. I'll give you 2 scenarios. You run it 3 times, 4. If you don't make it, they got to go 97 yards if you play any decent defense after that. 97 yards, they can't punt out of their end zone. They're liable to fumble it. You run the freaking football. Who made that call? Was that a checkoff or was that a Nick Sheridan left coast call?
Are you talking about the interception in the end zone, Bama Bino?
Yeah, you run the football when you're ahead in the first
Yeah,
half on the 3-yard line.
Let me just slightly correct
4
you. They
tries.
were it was not it was that it was they were scoreless at that point. They ended up throwing a touchdown pass on the next opportunity in the red zone to go up 7-0. But I still agree with your premise. They ran the ball on first down and got a yard. I believe that was Justice Haynes, and it was 2nd down and goal from the 2. And to me, I would have tried to run the ball again. I would have loaded up the backfield and tested the tailback. And then if you get another yard, then maybe you quarterback sneak it or whatnot. But I would have stayed on the ground. I didn't like it. And if dang sure if you do throw it, you got to do what Nico Iamaleava did. You got to throw the ball. But see, he threw it from like the 7 or 8 yard line. But you got to throw it to the pylon. And it was just a symptom of the whole deal. Like the first 3 plays were a disaster. That throw was a disaster for Milroe. He was just off the entire game for the most part. He had a handful of throws where he ripped a few, but that's been his whole career. Like he will tantalize you and rip one. Whoa! It just makes you jump out of your seat. I've done it a million times. It looks like an NFL throw, and then he'll do what Bama Bino's saying. He'll. First of all, I agree with him. That was one of the play calls I didn't agree with. They decided to throw the football, and they had a one-on-one opportunity. But again, you're at the 2-yard line. To me, you continue to test out the running game, and
right.
And I think that they should have whether it's and even run a toss, do something, run wide. I don't think they run wide enough. I think it's always they try to run behind the center and the 2 guards, and it's zone plays a lot of times. But I really think with that Tennessee defense, I think you could have even brought out one of the calls that they used against Vanderbilt, and it scored where they used Ryan Williams on an end around. Instead of throwing him the ball, you kind of toss it to him. But I just think overall, I thought that I agree with Bambino. I thought that was, and I think that's more on the offensive coordinator. Now, Milroe didn't execute, but as far as sound strategy, Bambino, I agree. I think they should have run the ball there.
But just my thinking here is you may be right. We might not have scored yet, but it was early.
It was early. It was early, and Alabama was trying to take control of the game. You're right about that.
We got 2 or 3 turnovers there, a couple of them early on. The defense played better despite having injuries, and I'm proud of the defense for stepping up. But my theory is this: if you do not score in 4 tries or 3, you're putting them at a disadvantage right there on the goal line. They got to hold on to the ball first of all. Then they've got to, if you hold them, they've got to punt at a half the distance that they usually get to, and liable to get a block punt or a fumble. I mean, you're putting them at a disadvantage. If you can't score in 3 or 4 tries inside the 5, you don't deserve to win the game. I don't care if I am Alabama fan. Now, if it's late in the game and you want to try to mix it up to where they don't know what you're doing and don't call every play you're going to do, maybe throw them off balance. But he's not a fade pass thrower. Milroe can't throw the ball short anyway. I can throw it left-handed better than he can short. Now, he's a good deep ball passer, but he's not a short ball passer or mid-range. So, but the discipline on this team, he's going to have to make an example since we've got professional athletes now, or they think they are. There's going to have to be some discipline going on and see how much money they make when they're on the bench. That's what my opinion of it is. Because we got too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
Bambino, thanks for the phone call, bud. Yeah. All right, let's go out to Sean real fast. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, Sean.
Good morning. Y'all made about every point I wanted to say except for one thing, and this is the biggest one. I even seen Alabama do it for the first time. These fake injuries, when you got momentum to slow the ball down, they're going to have the NCAA is going to have to step in and make it to where you have to sit out the rest of the series or the rest of the drive. Tennessee did it 3 or 4 times, and then Alabama freaking done it. I mean, I had been so mad in my life seeing that.
Yeah, it was what King Mack did. He tried to run on the field because Kellen DeBoer had an aneurysm. And then I think they kind of misread the situation. They wanted to be able to substitute Alabama.
Right.
but Tennessee wasn't substituting. So if they're both not substituting, they don't just let one do it.
Yeah, the defense can't substitute if the offense is not. Yes.
So King Mack runs on the field late, and then all of a sudden just falls down. You know what I'm saying? So and then another thing they did, and they got the first down. I think they got a good spot. It was a 4th down play. I don't know what this is about these Ryan Williams and the other Kendrick Law or whoever it was
doing basketball jump fake.
Jump fake. I guess they're trying to distract the defense or something.
I don't know.
What are they doing over here jumping? I mean, I don't understand it. Why are you not, in a tight formation trying to block? Like I never, to be honest, I didn't see it live. I saw the replay. I'd never seen anything like it in my life. I was what in the hell is that?
No.
I mean, and again, I saw what Sean's talking about. I saw King Mack run on the field and then just
they
first
had two.
I thought he tripped. I was why is he falling down? Why is he falling down?
It looked like a coach pushed him. I thought at first, maybe one of them pushed him and he fell, but no, he literally ran onto the field and just
110%. I agree with Sean what you're saying. They've got to make you sit out like a series or something. It's just gotten totally out of hand. Everybody's faking these injuries. It's stupid.
Yep.
It, like I said, I mean, that's the first time I've seen Alabama do it to where I could say it was a fake injury.
Yeah.
I mean, every time that we play Tennessee, Ole Miss, and we get any kind of momentum, they don't want to use a timeout or they're out of timeout, so they just fake an injury. The NCAA is – hold on, sorry, my alarm was going off. The NCAA is going to have to step in and make it to where they cannot come back in for at least until you have a turnover on down or a possession change.
Yeah, I agree, 110%, man.
And the officiating was I'm not blaming that on our loss, but it was bad on both sides. I was prepared for it. Alabama played and yet everybody says our defense stepped up. Did they really? Because Tennessee's offense is a bag of ass.
Well, I thought they played better, man. Especially when you consider.
I thought they played better, but everybody's saying, all I'm hearing is our defense stepped up. Did they really? Because we had, I know 4 plays, and I think there was 5 where if Nico wasn't such a horrible passer,
I know he overthrew guys.
It would have been a touchdown.
Yeah,
they could have beat us 40-17.
Well, but Alabama could have scored too. Milroe missed wide open receiver after wide open receiver.
I'm not saying that.
I mean, I'm just saying it works both ways on that. I mean, I just thought, especially if you'd have told me, it was kind of a weird combination. Alabama forced 3 first half turnovers. Should have been up more than 7-0. You heard Bama Bino talking about that.
Should have been 17-0.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then in the second half, though, the injuries mounted up. And then, like I told Scott, you had, no Devontae Smith, Keon Sabbs in and out. Then Red Morgan got hurt. And you're just playing all these dudes that and we were talking off the air, the transfer portal, that's what's robbed you. You have no depth, like Kirby Smart said. You got no depth anymore because you got to play dudes that just haven't played all year.
Real quick, I will say our defense played good in the first half. They had Nico laying on his back the whole time. I didn't think he was going to get off the ground the last time before halftime. I mean, I really didn't. So, I mean, but our defense stays on the field too much. They was gassed in the third. By the end of the third quarter, they was gassed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thanks,
Roll Tide no matter what.
Thank you, sir.
Let's get in one more real fast. Let's go to Joey from Huntsville. Good morning, Joey.
Morning, Joey. Good beat down. That was a heck of a performance.
Yeah, I got some good and bad for you. The good was 30-15. The bad, those officials, man, they need to be fired. They never need to call another game in their life.
That was rough.
I have never seen anything like that, and I've been watching football for over 30-something years. That was crazy.
That is the ugly from the weekend, and he's referring to the Texas-Georgia game where a pass interference call was called. Texas fans throw stuff on the field. The referees huddle together. It is a non-reviewable play. It can only be changed when the officials, if they change their mind,
do that.
The officials change their mind and say there was no pass interference call.
Crazy.
And then
and it probably shouldn't have been called to begin with, but they called it, like you said. So you have to stick with the call. So and then the targeting calls late, like one of them 17. I mean, maybe, but 8. I mean, come on, man.
Two Georgia players.
I will say this is part of my good. I enjoyed what Kirby Smart said after the game. He basically just called him out. Who cares? They fined me $50,000.
Yeah, he basically,
you fine. You can shove it up. You know what? I'm just going to sit here and say it. You tried to screw us with all these calls. Exactly. Call them out because they never have to answer for it anyway, except when Steve Shaw and the rest of the clown patrol gets them behind the curtain. Hey, you did this wrong. You did that wrong. And they might suspend them, but they never have to answer for their stupidity. And I'm just saying the officiating in this league is just getting horrendous.
Yeah, I tell you what, if y'all get down on if Missouri gets you down and they make a call you don't like, just take your water bottles out, start slinging them on the field, and they'll overturn the call. That was BS. And you know what? They had the refs on their side, and it wasn't enough. Offense didn't even show up, but that defense, both of them quarterbacks, Arch Manning and Ewers, they'll have PTSD for the rest of the year because Georgia was in their backfield and on their fucking ass.
Yeah, they really were.
Joey,
ain't no doubt about that. I mean, that was kind of my argument for everybody yelling for Ty Simpson during the game on Saturday. I'm like, look, they played Ewers. He looked awful, and then they gave him a break and put in Arch, and he didn't look much better. So there's no guarantee, especially when you haven't had reps, that you're going to it's not a video game. You don't just plug somebody in and all of a sudden it's going to work. So
that Georgia defense came ready to fight.
Yeah, they came in ready to eat, like Kirby said.
Yep.
And they just I'll wear that one too because I picked Texas in a very close game. I had in my gut I just felt like Georgia could win that game because Texas not played anybody and they got exposed. And I'll make another prediction: Texas ain't gonna make the playoff. I think they're gonna lose at least 2 more games.
All right, Joey. Thanks for the phone call. Hate to keep it short, but we are up against a break. 7:35 here. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota. We've got to get a break in. When we come back, we'll get back to the phone lines. Plus, we've got to recap what happened in Columbia, Missouri with the Auburn Tigers. We got all kinds of stuff. We got the AP poll to get through. Yeah, we've only just begun. It's your good, the bad, the ugly on a Monday live from Bill Penny Toyota.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. A quiet night expected across the Tennessee Valley. We'll see low temperatures fall into the low 50s for the overnight. Mostly clear sky expected. Heading into our Tuesday, we'll continue to see another dry day full of sunshine. High temperatures warming once again into the lower 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck 31 South and Linwood. That's on the south side of Decatur. Got a motorcycle involved. Sounds like that one could be a serious injury. We got Madison Boulevard and County Line. That one reported with an injury, but they canceled Hemsey on it. And we got southbound Research Park near Old Madison Pike still trying to clear. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977espn.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, Check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat. And that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Follow us on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN.
Okay, guys, show us what you got.
On Twitter at 97.7 ESPN. Online at 97.7ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Well, really trying to with Hollywood Cole. I'm with Marla G, bro. Flying Hollywood chicks to my Hollywood shows. And I want to tell you something.
Only fitting that we beep out. Only fitting that we have a song that has the beeped out F version there.
I mean,
because
was fired
Joey
up.
was a little, fired up this morning. Speaking of fired up, I don't know if he's fired up. I know that Hugh Freeze is feeling some kind of way this morning. Missouri comes back, beats Auburn 21-17 in Columbia. The story in this one, though, was, yes, the Auburn letdown, and Brady Cook was a huge story in this one because he goes to the hospital. Yes, the hospital. Gets an MRI done. The MRI is good. He comes back to the game.
Misses 2 hours again.
Misses 2 hours, comes back.
He went out like the second series.
Finishes the game.
Yeah.
But it's another letdown for the Auburn Tigers. Here's Hugh Freeze.
Obviously another disappointing day. And bitter to know we're not able to get across the finish line against another top 20 team. Give Missouri credit for not folding and continue to battle. Our kids fought hard. We're not making enough plays or making enough right calls at times to win these close games right now, obviously. And it's disappointing for the Auburn family, disappointing for our administration, for our team, for our kids, our coaches. It's just, it's a difficult year where it seems nothing is going quite your way when you need it to. Third quarter, we have a really good drive and down there, and I thought the fade ball was a really good ball, and we just we got to make those plays and score. We got to make those field goals, or just to keep our momentum, but. We just we seem to not make the right call as coaches or the right play from time to time in critical moments still, and that's kind of been the story of the whole year. And
that's Hugh Freeze after Auburn's loss to Missouri.
Well, and then they still had the momentum. They were about to go up 20-6. Towns Magoo misses a 30-yard field goal and that's where you started thinking, uh-oh. And then they had Missouri in a third and long, and then Mookie Cooper had only caught 2 passes. The other pass was for 4 yards, but this pass was for 78. Brady Cook, it was right after he came back in, Scott, and he was about his third play from scrimmage after he came back in, and he got it in a tight window, and Mookie Cooper turned up the field and broke a tackle, and then ran inside the 5-yard line, and Missouri ended up scoring a touchdown, and that just turned the entire game. I mean, It made it 17-14 because Mizzou went for 2 and made it. and then you just started getting this sinking feeling unless Auburn could answer and make a play, and they just could not. They couldn't get anything going offensively after that. Missouri put a drive together and ended up taking the lead with under 2 minutes to go. And when that happens, really under a minute, pardon me. And once they took the lead late, I mean, Auburn just could not get any offensive momentum back. Thorne didn't play awful. I mean, I know he had another screw up, as far as a play. They felt like with, a play that was supposed to be run, but he didn't turn it over, and Auburn only had one turnover. They won the turnover battle 2-1. It's just they've been snake bit. This time, the special teams let them down. And, I felt like they didn't run the football well enough. I mean, they got more touches to Jarquez Hunter, but he had 19 carries for 57 yards. They just couldn't get a lot of movement. And I'll be honest with you, if Alabama doesn't do a better job of running the ball and it can't run it on Missouri, then they're going to have a difficult time in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. Because I wasn't supremely impressed with this Mizzou team, but they find ways to win. They've got a veteran quarterback you just mentioned in Brady Cook, who's been around, who's a captain. Who I got to give credit that he came back because Drew Pine, their backup, was terrible. I mean, they were not going to win that game. That's another thing. If the backup stays in, Auburn wins the game. But they got their QB1 back, and he made the plays he's supposed to make. And Auburn had another gut-wrenching loss that they should have won a football game.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Pat from Tuscaloosa is with us. Good morning, Pat.
Morning, Pat.
Guys, my son talked me off the ledge after the ball game. I was highly depressed, and he said that the defense played well enough to win the ball game. And that's true, but the offense sucked. And I want to know where he got this offensive coordinator from that runs the ball on 1st and goal at the 5-yard line. That's what I want to know. Do we supposedly have two? And where's Young at? That I don't like 26 running the ball. He's done stuff occasionally good. He doesn't appear to be hitting the hole as hard as he should be hitting the hole. I don't know, and I could be wrong on that. What do you guys think?
I think Jam's done a good job, and I think an underrated part of this loss, and people haven't really talked about it, was he was starting to get into a rhythm, and he had an ankle injury, and he went out the last part of the fourth quarter, and basically they had to just go with Justice Haynes. And you're talking about Richard Young. I don't know Richard Young's health situation. They have not played him since he got hurt against Wisconsin, and really it's been a two-man show. They've basically just been going because Daniel Hill's out with an injury too. They've basically just been going with Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, and Jam went out with an ankle, and that really was depressing because he was starting to break tackles. He was starting to get some movement, and they could have used him. I do think Justice has been a better goal line runner than him, and he had the red zone touchdown, but Justice did a nice job, I thought, as a running receiver in the game, but I still thought that Jam was the better option. And Jam, against South Carolina, he really helped them run the clock out. And I don't know, I thought that was a big injury when Jam Miller went out, because he went out, he hobbled off, and they put Justice in the game, and he never came back in. So that'll be another, I guess, question that will be answered by Kalen DeBoer this morning. But that was part of the injury report, and that's kind of what, when Scott was playing Kalen's press conference inside the dumpster, that he basically was saying that we got guys that are going to have to step up because they're hurt. I mean, you're going to have some dudes grow up, step up, and be ready for the limelight and play football. Hopefully Jam will be available, but again, I don't know the severity of it. I just know he didn't come back in the game.
Okay. Do you think Jalen is hurt?
I don't care if he's banged up. Look, Pat, he played the entire game. I don't want to hear that he's, boo-hoo-hoo, that he's banged up, and that's why he wouldn't run. He doesn't want to run. He's not a willing runner. We talked about it last year. He finally realized about halfway through last season he needed to use his legs. They had a lot of called runs earlier this year, coaches have adjusted. They tried to do it a couple times on Saturday. Tennessee stopped it. But there was opportunities for him to take off and run. He will not do it. He keeps trying to throw on the run, and I can throw better on the run than Jalen Milroe because, again, it's like into the third row or between those two. You see that little crack right there?
Yes.
With two damn bushes? That's where the ball's going to go. It's not going to go near a wide receiver, okay? You can't throw on the run. Run the football.
That's why either we can right this ship if Jalen gets with the program with Jalen. However, if he's not going to get right with the program, tell us so now so we can go to tie and take our lumps.
Well, I still think if they lose another game, that's what you ought to do. I think, look, man, because you're not going anywhere. And to me, Jalen Milroe needs to either, hit the portal or go to the NFL, but I don't think he's an NFL prospect right now. It's certainly not trending that way because he's not playing well at all. So, again, that's going to be up to him, though. We are going to find out because he's a two-time captain, and he earned that by his teammates and his coaches. We're going to see how good he is and how committed he is. He signed another NIL deal this weekend. I think he was modeling clothes Sunday. We'll see what he's got to him. He's supposed to be a worker and a guy that's in the building first. Well, we're going to find out because he played like dog meat, and he needs to step it up, and the whole team does against Missouri because they are out of mulligans. You have no more. Your only hope is to run the table the rest of the season. You cannot lose another football game, so you got to play well on Saturday at 2:30 against Missouri in Bryant-Denny Stadium.
All right, Pat, thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, sir.
It is 7:49. We got to get a break in. When we come back, we will go back out to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough and Brandon will get you guys in as soon as we return to wrap up Hour 1 Talking Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They're going to close the southbound lanes of 31 at Linwood. That's on the south side of Decatur. Had a wreck involving a motorcycle there. That one had some injury involved. Sounded like a fairly serious injury, so they'll do a full investigation. We've got Madison Boulevard and County Line. That one ended up being a no injury. And we've got southbound blockage, Research Park at Old Madison Pike. That one may still be with us for a few more minutes. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
AL cert number 21014.
As the calendar turns to Halloween, make sure you get more treats than tricks. Thomas from Talent Heating and Air is with us. Don't let those ghosts and goblins get you on Halloween.
Yeah, we're not too worried about the ghosts and goblins this Halloween. We'll come out, we'll do a free second opinion like we always do. We're offering $49 tune-ups to make sure that you're ready for the fall and the coming winter. And then we're also offering free heat exchanger checks. We'll come out, we'll check your heat exchanger, make sure you don't have any leaks and don't have to worry about carbon monoxide getting in your house.
And Talent Heating and Air won't ghost you on this Halloween.
If you call us, we'll definitely get to you right then, or we'll get right back with you. We pride ourselves in same-day service as much as possible.
Let the people know how to get you.
That's 256-503-4490, or if you want to hit us up on our website, that's talenthvac.com.
Let Talent Heating and Air give you plenty of treats this Halloween.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgate. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
I'm sure not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it now.
Oh,
I get it now. Oh, boy. Yeah, we may have to strike that from the repertoire there.
Yeah.
Let's go back out to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough with us. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
Yeah, first of all, the faking injuries, there's nothing they can do about it in the rule book, so they're going to do it. I mean, Ole Miss did it against Kentucky. So, I mean, it's kind of like flopping in basketball. They try to correct it a little bit, but it's hard to really call.
They've passed rules, though.
Yeah,
they've passed rules on flopping.
That's true, they have.
They can do the same thing with this.
Yeah, but I
mean,
I don't know what to do about it. They haven't done anything yet. And Texas throwing stuff on the field, they should be penalized about $50.
Texas fans got fined $250,000 for throwing stuff on the field.
I agree.
Penalized.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right.
Not just one penalty. I think they should have got 2 personal foul
Well, we
penalties.
had 2 or 3 of them, and like I said, whoever threw this stuff should be kicked out and not be able to come back. It's like the night.
No, so here's what they're going to do, John. And now they say they're going to do this. Texas authorities or the university police or the police, they're going to review all of the video. They're going to actually try to review all of the video. And if they identify you, you are banned from attending all Texas events for the rest of the year.
Well, that's what Tennessee said too, and they can't see, so they didn't ban nobody. So they threw stuff on Lane Kiffin and everything else, and they threw stuff. And when they lost Notre Dame baseball, threw stuff on the baseball field. They ain't gonna ban. Tennessee ain't gonna ban nobody. Texas ain't gonna do it. So I don't care what the police say they're gonna do. As far as that's concerned, and as far as the Kentucky game goes, you can't turn it over twice. Florida was going to embarrass us. Everybody knows it. And what was the first grab? I know y'all didn't watch the game. What was the first grab came through when they went to the interview after the game? SEC Network. You know what it was?
No.
First win over Kentucky. His record against Kentucky 1-2. You see, Florida was going to beat us anyway because they were going to embarrass us because they had lost 3 years in a row, and they think it's their birthright to beat us like everybody else in the SEC. Of course, we did get a kickoff return from Barry Brown. I know y'all never heard of him, but he did kick back.
Of course, I watched him in high school, Jeff.
He's 6'15", Nashville, Tennessee pro. So
yes,
he's pretty good.
I've met the young man.
He's pretty good. He's got 5 kickoff returns. I think he set the record for the SEC, but he might be all SEC. I doubt it. But we didn't
Unfortunately,
play
he let a ball go right through his hands that turned into a pick six, though.
We didn't play good Saturday. We got Auburn Saturday home, so hopefully we get that back on the right track. But Florida was going to embarrass us, and they did that. They could be us before the 50 they would because their fan base, they used the birthright, being like everybody else in this conference. So when the fake injury stops, Shawshank, I'm sorry, babe. You just lost, like the guy said on the thing. It's going to be a day when Tennessee won't celebrate beating Bama. So you've got 2 $100,000 checks, one from Tennessee and one from Vanderbilt now for losing to them. $200,000 in y'all's coffers for losing. So that's life. That's the way it goes. So y'all have a good one, guys.
Yep.
See you.
All right, thanks. Well, Kentucky has to win 3 of their next 5 to get bowl eligible.
Yeah.
And that is Auburn, Tennessee, Murray State, Texas, and Louisville. That's the remaining schedule down the stretch.
And then we got Brandon, I think, waiting to join us. What's up, Brandon?
Bunch of stuff. So yesterday we're in downtown Atlanta. We went and done some stuff and sitting there eating, and here come the Falcons fans doing the walk of putrid shame. And I told them to pull up the chair.
Wrecked.
I was like, I know how it is. I was like this. But when that ball hit Jalen Milroe in the face.
Oh, in the beginning, first series.
I said, are we really doing this? And I knew right then we were in trouble.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not focused. This is not going to go well. And I had people ask me, do you think we'd have won that ball game at home? Maybe. Maybe we would have. But the whole situation I wanted to say is, have you ever seen how Jalen Milroe's dad acts?
Oh,
See
good
how he acted
Lord.
in Tennessee?
Yeah.
If you sit down there in that section with those people, do you think they're not going to get into it with you? I mean, it's not Philadelphia where they're throwing D-cell batteries at Santa Claus, but they're not going to pat you on the back.
No.
Right. All right, Brandon, thanks for the phone call. Short.
And Brandon's been around Milroe's dad before in Tampa last year. He's not for the meek.
All right. That is going to do it for hour one. When we come back, hour two, we're going to kick it off. Alex Scarborough going to join us. We'll go delve deeper into that Alabama-Tennessee game, get Alex's thoughts on that and just exactly where Alabama goes from here.
Monday Night Football, 2 games are on the schedule tonight. The 2-4 Cardinals will square off with the 3-2 LA Chargers. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a full participant at practice Friday and Saturday. He's recovering from a concussion and is questionable for the game. LA is favored by 1.5 heading in. The over-under 44.5. The Cardinals even on the money line. The Chargers minus 120. Elsewhere, Baltimore visits Tampa. Both teams are 4-2-0. The Ravens by 3.5. Over under 50.5. Tampa plus 170. Baltimore minus 200. The Dodgers and Yankees open up the World Series this Friday. New York plus 105. LA minus 125. That's the VSiN action update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department on a Monday morning. Buy 3 tires, get that 4th one for $1 right now here at Bill Penny Toyota. And a big thank you to SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. 256-881-5151. You too can experience that SportsMed difference. We all have seen the results from the Alabama-Tennessee game. We heard from Kalen DeBoer a little bit there in hour number 1, got his thoughts on his message to the team and to the locker room after that game. Now the question is, how fast does Alabama pick up the pieces? Do they let it linger? And how are they able to respond this next week? Because Coach DeBoer is right. There's still plenty of football left to be played. And what we've seen from college football so far is that it's topsy-turvy this year. It's topsy-turvy. But Alabama's margin for error now is none.
Nil. And our next guest, he's does a great job covering the University of Alabama for Bama 247. He was in Knoxville, Tennessee for the Vols win over Alabama, their second straight in Neyland Stadium over the Tide, following that 2022 win. And he said over just several days ago, about a week ago, that he felt like Alabama was not a college football playoff team. They did not look like one. They certainly didn't look like one on Saturday. And now the season is on the brink, so to speak, to quote another well-versed book by John Feinstein when he covered the Indiana and Bob Knight. We're going to talk to Alex Scarborough here about Alabama's season being on the brink. Alex is with us now this morning. Alex, good morning.
Morning, fella.
I'll just go ahead and ask you, because you've covered this team and this league for over a decade, a long time. You certainly covered the Jalen Hurts saga at Alabama. He lost his job eventually. Of course, I don't know that the Tua Tagovailoa is waiting in the wings. We haven't seen somebody get in games and light it up like he did, but this is trending in a bad way for Jalen Milroe right now. Where is this Alabama offense?
Yeah, Jalen's playing his way out of the first round, which is what we were talking about in terms of the draft coming out of that Georgia game, because he did finally show the whole picture. I'd even argue against Vanderbilt, he was doing that as well, just, completing the short to intermediate passes, working within the framework of the offense. But since then, it's just been a total regression, turning the football over, making bad decisions, looking tentative. His footwork is just atrocious at times, throws off his heels a lot. And when he's not going, this offense can't move without him. It's an offense that's built around what he can do, because he's that kind of, in the NBA, the point guard who handles the ball and also shoots it all the time. And that can be a great thing when he's going well, and it can be a not so great thing when he's not. So it's not as if Jalen Milroe has forgotten how to play football. He's just, this offense isn't built to pick him up, and it's an incomplete offense. It's an incomplete team. I think that's the thing I keep coming back to, is that they don't really play complementary football. They have an explosive offense and a defense that can sometimes show up, but they don't run the football effectively. The protection is inconsistent. Secondary play is inconsistent. They can't just put all the pieces together. And that's really at the root of the problem for the team this year. But I think you could argue those roots extend beyond this year as well.
Yeah, is this a case too where, it's Kalen DeBoer's doing everything he can to try to fit what he has into a system and trying to adapt? Or is this just purely Alabama still the guys, it doesn't matter who it is, what team it is, first year head coach trying to get his system in, and this is what we should have expected?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think they're kind of building the plane in midair, because remember, this is a new coaching staff that got here in January, really didn't get to start putting in work until spring practice, and then your roster changes again. So it's a team that's really only been together for about 5.5 months, maybe.
Okay.
So it's not a long time. So that can be at the root of some of this. But at the same time, Alabama is talented at meaningful positions. We just talked about Jalen Milroe and his capability. So it's not as if you can't say there wasn't an expectation to make the playoffs. It's just weird to say there was an expectation to make the playoffs and have growing pains at the same time. I think people have trouble putting both of those things together. But I think that's ultimately where we're at, because of the newness of everything, because they're trying to work within what they inherited, not just at quarterback, but everywhere. I'm not sitting here like a lot of folks are saying, just wait until they get their players in. I think good coaches make good players, put good players in position to succeed, and they've been a little bit lacking in that point. I think they'd even admit to that they've struggled in certain areas. But no, there's a little bit of both things happening, where the roster turnover, the coaching turnover is all kind of hitting. It just didn't. It's weird that it didn't hit until the second half against Georgia to start to really show up.
Well, I did think the defense showed some improvement, especially because I know if you had told me before the game Alabama's going to force 3 turnovers, I would have said they're in good shape, because when the defense is forced turnovers, even though they give up some plays, and they did in the second half, they usually good things happen. But I also felt like, and I'm going to get your thoughts, at halftime when it was 7-0, you felt like it should have been a 3-score game. Alabama should have had more game control at that point.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And that was the maddening thing about being there. It's like, for 3 weeks, we've been waiting on the defense to show up, and it finally shows up, especially in that first half, too, doing a terrific job stopping Dylan Sampson in what is a very good Tennessee run game. Some of that slipped up in the second half, but overall, I thought they put together a good performance. And you're right to point out, 3 turnovers, no points off of turnovers. That's not how you win football games in the SEC. That's definitely not how you win them on the road against a quality opponent. Again, the idea of complementary football, the idea of playing team football. Even Kalen said, look, we're just not there yet. I don't think you can quite put a finger on why, but yeah, Kane Womack's defense showed up. There were some busts. There were some plays in the passing game that probably could have been there that weren't for Tennessee. But ultimately, this game, I think, fell on the shoulders of the offense and the staff and just not really firing on all cylinders. Again, penalties, the pass protection, the negative plays. And again, you have to call what it is, just not a good performance from Jalen Milroe, where he was putting them in bad situations on top of it. So it's hard to give applause to after a win, but I do think the defense really stepped up in a meaningful way when they needed to after 10 quarters of bad performance.
Well, Alex, one of the trends that does continue is the penalties. Now, both Alabama and Tennessee were both heavily penalized in this one game.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't one or the other, but if from an Alabama perspective, it's still rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, and this is I'm gonna get off track for a second. People want to compare everything to Nick Saban's tenure, every dang thing that happened, and I don't think that's effective. I don't think it helps anybody, and I think it ignores the reality of where college football is.
Yes.
What compared to what Nick Saban was coaching in only a few years ago. But if you're gonna do that, at least live in the reality that these penalty issues, these discipline issues, they were there before too. This isn't like something that Kalen DeBoer got in the building and suddenly the flags started coming out. Alabama had issues in Tennessee 2 years ago. They had issues at LSU 2 years ago. They had issues against Texas 2 years ago. Like, this has kind of been who they are for a while now. It's surprising that this coaching staff hasn't cleaned it up a little bit more, because I thought new faces, new voices would improve that. But they keep shooting themselves in the foot. And Kalen talked about it after the game. We're backing ourselves against the wall when we're doing that. There's so many second and third and long. And again, at the very end of the game, you got a 4th and 7. You're trying to move down the field with under 2 minutes left, and you have a personal foul. Now, do I think the refs should have called offsetting fouls after the Tennessee player tried to throw a punch at Kendrick Law? Absolutely. But it still speaks to the lack of discipline, puts you in 4th and 22, and you can't manage that. So they keep doing this to themselves. And it's a fair thing to point out. I just think people need to accept the fact that, yes, this happened under Nick as well.
And yeah, I know you had a chance to talk to Milroe after the game, but he just seemed like from the first series on, he wasn't dealing with the crowd noise very well. They were because this coaching staff gives him autonomy to check off. I know they have the communication in the helmet as well, but it just seemed like everything was clunky from the first snap of the game offensively.
Yes, he was indecisive. And it's what bothered me about his game some last year was that he could make these really incredible plays off of athleticism, off of arm talent, just could do amazing things on the football field. But he was always kind of a half second late at times. He wasn't super confident, and that even went for running the football. Like that run where he almost goes for a touchdown against Tennessee, if he's just a little bit more decisive. And it's interesting for somebody with his talents that he's not, because I think he's in a push-pull of, do I use my running ability? Do I sit in the pocket and be the pocket passer I want to be? So it puts him in a bind, and then you get in a position on the road at Tennessee where it's so loud you can't hear yourself think. That's when it compounds the problem, and you see him look, frankly, a little rattled out there. And again, the thing I keep going back to, watch him throw the football and how few times he truly steps into a pass. He throws off his back heels a lot, and he has the arm to make up for it, but that's not what you want to do as a quarterback that suffers in terms of that. Your accuracy, your strength on the football. I think he puts himself in a lot of bad positions. It sort of reminds me of the sack that he took and the intentional grounding safety against South Carolina, where I don't think the pressure was there. He's just in a little bit of a rut right now. I still think he has obvious ability and should be doing better in this offense, but I think you have to call a spade a spade. He looked rattled, and he was ineffective against Tennessee and really put the offense in bad position.
Well, now Alabama, I mean, there's external noise around the program right now, and now they've got to block all that out again. It's going to be hard, but they've got to focus this week. And Coach DeBoer did say after the game on Saturday, there's still a lot of football left to be played, and that's the thing with the schedule and everything else going on. I mean, the Alabama still has a lot on the horizons to play for, and college football this year has been topsy-turvy. No one has been running away with anything right now. So, I mean, if Alabama can still hold on, I mean, there's still hope down the stretch.
Yeah, there's 12 spots in this playoff. The problem is you got to deal with the automatic qualifiers, which just drive me absolutely insane. So there's maybe it's not as simple as being the 11th or 12th team. It's a little bit more complicated than that when it comes to the rankings for Alabama. But it is still possible. It's not like a crazy possibility if they win out. But the margin for error is nothing now. I think they're going to be probably heavy favorites in every game except for that one on the road at LSU in a few weeks. But I think before we even get to that, we just got to see them play better football. Jalen Milroe's got to rediscover what was making him being talked about as a first-round talent. They got to play complementary football. They've had these weeks where we see bits and pieces like the defense, where 3 weeks they're kind of ineffective, and then against Tennessee, against a really difficult offense to prepare for, they look really good. If they can put those pieces all together, they're a really good football team. They're the football team you saw in the first half against Georgia. So if they can rediscover that, the talent and the production, the ability are all there, they can obviously play their way right back into that conversation. It's just hard when you've seen an entire month of regression to say, okay, suddenly they're going to flip a switch and they're going to be back on. I don't think it's impossible. I just think we got to see a few more games before we get to that point. And Missouri is obviously a team that's looking to compete for a playoff spot as well. I don't think they're going to come in thinking they're going to give Alabama a break. I think Alabama's going to have all they can handle with Brady, Cook, Luther Burden in that offense.
Yeah, and what do we? I've gone on record as I've picked Alabama to win the game, but again, I really don't know what to expect. What was the temperature in your mind when you were talking to Kalen DeBoer after the game? We played a little bit of the audio, but what was the kind of the vibe in the room? What is there frustration on his part in your mind? What did you sense from him?
Okay, you're never going to see Kalen yell. You're never going to see him like truly act boisterously like we became accustomed to with Nick. But that was as dejected as I've seen him to that point of it, 280 days of his tenure. I actually looked it up. Because he always tries to project positivity and says, look, football's a weird shaped ball. It bounces odd sometimes. We're playing good football. It's just not showing up. That did not happen after the Tennessee game. I think he realized, I think he was disappointed by the outcome. He said he was frustrated himself. And I think he's just disappointed by the fact that this team can't all come together as one. Because again, it goes back to, he was waiting on the defense to play better. They finally did, and his offense didn't show up. So I think there was some frustration. He looked a little dejected to me, to be honest with you. And I think some Alabama fans have been kind of looking for that because it's been a little bit like you keep telling us positive things and it's not showing up. I think that was him being as real as we've seen him and sort of understanding that this team has a long ways to go to get back to playing at a level where they can talk about competing for SEC championships. That's probably off the table this year, but for a spot in the playoff.
Well, and my final question, and it's a loaded one. If you're Kalen DeBoer, who's an offensive guy and known for his work with quarterbacks, how do you get Jalen Milroe out of this slump?
It's interesting because with most quarterbacks, you would say, work the short passing game. Get him going, get him in a rhythm, give him those screen passes. He doesn't seem to work that way. I think the best thing they can do is just go out with a game plan that says, Jalen, we're going to let it freaking rip. Throw the ball down the field. That's who you are. And when that ball is kind of like a three-point shooter, when it starts going through the net, you start feeling a lot better. And I think you get a few deep shots against Missouri. You start hitting Ryan Williams. Jeremy Bernard's playing out of his mind lately, by the way. Get the ball to those two guys, and he starts feeling better, I think he becomes a different quarterback. It's not unlike a lot of quarterbacks, but I think a lot of it is predicated on confidence. And if he starts seeing those big passes open up again, I think he'll be better. But yeah, it's not as simple as run the football, check the ball down, do those confidence building sort of things with a young quarterback or with most quarterbacks. I don't think that necessarily applies when it comes to Jalen. I think they're in a spot where it's difficult. They've got to find a way to get him out of this rut. But if he opens up against Missouri and the big play is not there, it might get really shaky, really in a hurry.
Great stuff from Alex Scarborough. Very interesting thoughts there in the post Tennessee loss for Alabama, as they now have basically a season-defining game against Missouri at Bryant-Denny Stadium coming up at 2:30 on Saturday. Alex, always appreciate your time. Let everybody know how to follow you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you can all go to Bama247.com. You can find my work, Mike Rodak, Cody Goodwin, Kirk Nair. Brett Greenberg covers the recruiting side of things. We're going to be out in full force for the news conferences today, and got football and basketball to cover now. There's a lot there, and I'm blanking on what % off there is, but I know there's a sale because there's always a sale if you want to sign up.
No doubt. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Let's get that break in. Alex Scarborough, kind enough to join us there on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Let's get that break in. 256-576-4977. You can join us.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a new wreck southbound on the Hudson Memorial Bridge headed into Decatur. Got Parkway and Martin Road with a no-injury accident. Shady Grove near Austin High School in Decatur is a no-injury. Central and 3rd, nobody hurt. Research Park in Bradford did report as an injury type. I think that one's southbound. Had 67 northbound at 6 Mile Road. That's near Somerville. That one may have a minor injury. 31 southbound at Linwood had a motorcycle involved with a vehicle fire there. They have southbound closed completely now. Show Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Kathy Mattea to UNA. Tickets for the November 24th winter gathering are available at ShoalScholarDollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
There's power in caring when it is put into action. Each year, our bankers serve on nonprofit boards, support our local educators, and volunteer with our hometown food bank. I'm Bobby Humphrey, Vice President of Business Development for Bryan Bank, and community service is just not a line item in our mission statement. It's who we are. Because after all, Alabama is our home too. That kind of commitment to community might not be what you would expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give us a call or stop by one of our 2 offices in the Huntsville area and experience unbeatable service and legendary results.
Bryan Bank Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID 2428943, member FDIC.
You need a lawyer, and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family, because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
The new Cheeseburger Bobby's on Carl T. Jones Drive in South Huntsville is focused on serving great food prepared with the absolute freshest ingredients, featuring classic hamburgers and cheeseburgers with lots of specialty options, chicken and hot dogs, even turkey burgers and veggie burgers, along with fresh cut fries, onion rings, or coleslaw. Always fresh, never frozen, except for the frozen custard. See all the delicious options at Cheeseburger Bobby's for yourself. Check out the menu and more at cheeseburgerbobbies.com.
Listen to the Woody Anderson Ford Scoreboard Show, powered by Lake Gunnersville Ace Hardware. Each Friday night with Scott Tyson on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 256-576-4977. You can join us this morning. The AP poll is out. And for the first time since 2012, after Texas became the third top-ranked team in the country to lose this season by falling to Georgia, the Oregon Ducks received 59 first-place votes. They go from number 2 to number 1. Georgia jumped 3 spots to number 2. Georgia did receive 2 first-place votes. The Longhorns slipped to number 5. The rest of the top 10 looks like this. Penn State, number 3. Ohio State, 4. Texas, 5. Miami, who finds a way to continue to win each week. They are 7-0. They climb into number 6.
Speaking of teams that get favorable officiating,
they've gotten a few good calls this year.
I wouldn't call them good.
Tennessee 7, LSU 8, Clemson 9, Iowa State. I have no idea who they are. I have no idea who they are. Hey, Gus Malzahn nearly derailed the Cyclone train this weekend.
Just blew it. They had it.
They did. And Iowa State survives. They're inside the top 10. They did fall number 1. Clemson and Iowa State flip-flop. Clemson was 10. They're 9. Iowa State was 9. They're 10. The rest of the SEC, Texas A&M is at number 14. Alabama falls down to number 15. Ole Miss is in there at number 18. Missouri moves up 2 spots to number 21. Vanderbilt, the Commodores survive Ball State.
It was 14-14.
They nearly vandied it, but they don't. But they slip into the top 25. Vanderbilt is in the top. Your final three in the top 25 look like this. Army is at number 23. Navy checks in at number 24. And Vanderbilt checks in at number 25. 23, 24, and 25 are exactly what people thought we would see at this point in the season.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, man. I mean, they finally let Vandy in the top 25, but I got it at least this time. And we all know what happened against Georgia State. They just absolutely collapsed in the last 2 minutes, even when they had the lead 32-29, lose at 36-32. But they find a way to survive against Ball State. And now they get an angry Texas team coming to Nashville. Josh Pate, our good friend, he already kind of previewed this on our show. He is doing the double dip. He is going to Vegas on Friday for UNLV Boise State. Flying back home and going to be there in Nashville for Vanderbilt in Texas.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get him on this week, man. I'll try to get him on maybe by Wednesday before he starts flying everywhere. But, man, that's going to be quite a weekend for Josh Pate.
All right, let's try to slip in Ray real fast. Good morning, Ray.
What's up, Ray?
How we doing?
Doing good.
I thought the first half couldn't have gone a lot better for Alabama. You could have been a little more efficient offensively.
Yes.
But if somebody would have told you before the game, look, you're going to go in the half up 7-0, would you have taken it?
Well, yeah, I would have taken it, but then when you have to break it to me that Alabama had created 3 turnovers and Ebby Calvin LaLoosh had made another appearance and he wasn't throwing the ball effectively, balls were hitting him in the face mask and he couldn't change places at the line of scrimmage, then I would have been nervous. But yes, overall, you would take on the road being up 7-0?
Because I thought the turning point in the game
Yeah.
was the 4th and 2.
The
because
4th and
you
2.
were
Yeah.
you came out of the half and you muscled them all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 4th and 2, you punt. I'm like, nope, can't do that there. This is where Taylor DeBoer's got to decide. My best is better than their best in their house, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, here's my point too, though. What bothered me about the play where it made it 4th and 1.5 or whatever it was, if you watch the play, you're right. They came out trying to establish the run, and they did. They got a couple first downs, and then it was 3rd down and 5 or whatnot. Milroe looked like he had room, and then he's got to break a tackle. And the guy, I thought he had a one-on-one where he had a chance to, break a tackle, pull away, and, get past the sticks, and he gets tackled 1.5 yards short. And, I mean, it was a one-on-one deal. My point is, Miko Iamaleava, when he got the ball, he made a guy. He juked a guy and ran the ball inside the 20.
He juked that dude out of his shoes.
He did. And Milroe can't do that, unfortunately. He's got stiff ankles, and he couldn't break a tackle and keep the sticks moving.
Because that was my thing with the 4th and 2 is you've now established you've got the boat.
Right.
And the second you punted, Tennessee snatched it and said, we ain't giving it back. This is our house. That's how they played the whole second half.
Right.
That's why I thought that was the crucial moment. You got to understand the circumstance. And that's troubling.
I agree. All right, Ray. Thanks for the phone call.
Thank you for the call.
Thanks for the phone call. Yeah.
And there's some points to be made there. I mean, and at times when he's an analytics guy, at some points, I've seen him do that at Washington, go for it on 4th down and try to seize control of the game. I thought, that Alabama was they were trying to take physical control of it, but again, they just didn't execute on 3rd and 5. But I also think too, they were trying to make things a little easier, get their running game going. But at the same time, your quarterback has to be able to make plays. Yeah. And I think what did I used to say with Jalen Hurts? You can't hide the quarterback.
Right.
He eventually has to make plays with his arm, and Jalen Milroe has to be able to do that. But you heard Alex Scarborough say it. It's basically just boom or bust. He makes a lot of plays off his athleticism, but if you take away the deep ball and then you start playing zone and having an umbrella around the line of scrimmage and taking away the run, he's not even a willing runner to begin with. And then it really hamstrings Alabama's offense.
All right, real fast. Let's get Wolverine Dan in. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan. Big win for Detroit.
Not much, huh?
Detroit, man, that was a heck of a win.
No. Hold on now. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. No pun intended with your team. But you know what? You got it bad, but I got it awful. It's a 7-hour ride back from Champaign, Illinois. It wasn't pretty. They gave up. That coach doesn't know what it – yeah, he lost control of this team. I hate to say that because he's kind of fresh, just about a year. Not even a full year in his own
Not
tenure.
A full year, yeah.
But, dude, I don't like what I see. I don't like where it's going. And I think it's time for him to roll out of that place. Take his coaches and bring in the Indiana coach. That's the guy I want. But,
Kurt Signetti.
Yeah. So Alabama, yeah. As long as you keep winning, don't lose a game, you're in the playoffs. Don't worry about it. You got a brand name, 2 losses, no biggie. You'll get in. But if you lose another one, it's over. And then you all got to make a decision what you want to do. I'm sure you're probably going to stay with him for a while. But it's a West Coast offense in the SEC. That ain't going to make it. So you got to make changes on that. But how about those Lions, okay? There's always a bright side to my days. The Lions put me in a position in the way they played, even without Hutch. And I hear we're looking to get Crosby from L.A., the Raiders.
The Vegas,
Mason
if
Crosby.
If we get him, then Hutch gets better.
Crosby,
Hutch gets better. Guess what? Dynamic duo on either side. This team still could win, okay? I think it's going to be Kansas City in the Super Bowl again, the way they're playing. But you know what? I think we got a shot at them because we beat them once already. No big.
Yeah, Detroit certainly, I think aligning themselves to have a chance to be the best team in the NFC. That was a big win in Minnesota. Minnesota's kind of been flying under the radar under Sam Darnold, but yeah, Detroit, there's no doubt they've got a lot of talent, and certainly Dan Campbell's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, I'm pretty well safe with my bet. I think I like what I did. I like how I played it, and I think I'm going to be in a big game. I really do. And this is our year. See you later.
Well, appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks, Wolverine.
Glad you got back. And then, of course, what he's referring to is Illinois beating Michigan 21-7.
Yes,
and the Wolverines basically already being out of postseason as far as college football playoff contention.
Look, we said it last year. It's easy to come in and be an interim coach of a football team when you're as loaded as what Michigan was last year.
They were Ed Ogeron did it. I mean, and got the head job at LSU. But yeah, it's very difficult because that team was on autopilot last year,
and they lost a lot of guys off that team. And you come in, and it's a different feel. All right, we got to get a break in. Jake Crane's going to join us next. He'll help us recap Auburn and Missouri and get his thoughts there. We'll get his thoughts on Alabama, Tennessee, and the rest of the league as well. It's Jake Crane next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. A quiet night expected across the Tennessee Valley. We'll see low temperatures fall into the low 50s for the overnight. Mostly clear sky expected. Heading into our Tuesday, we'll continue to see another dry day full of sunshine. High temperatures warming once again into the lower 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That wreck on the Hudson Memorial Bridge headed in Decatur is southbound in the right lane. All the traffic's having to move left to get past that one. Already seeing traffic backed up into the 3120Y. Just got a wreck Parkway and Drake. We had one working Parkway and Martin. Both of those reported no injury. Shady Grove near Austin High in Decatur, Central and 3rd in Decatur, and 67 northbound at 6 Mile Road. All those are working as no injury. 31 in Linwood in Decatur had a motorcycle involved with a vehicle fire. 31's reported southbound closed completely. Do you need assistance with a temporary project or maybe finding a new employee? Snelling can help. They also do background checks, computer assessments, and payroll. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Well, our next guest lives in Nashville.
Sometimes she runs that should be Jalen Milroe, and it should say sometimes he runs and sometimes he don't.
Throws the ball into the third row.
Anyway, there has been a lot to break down from another fantastic Saturday of college football, and it's a Saturday of college football again that brings some unpredictability and some predictability to it. You might have been surprised by some of the results, and you might not have been surprised by some of the results because now trends have developed with teams, and we understand who they are and what they are. But we'll delve in more into that.
Yeah, and our weekly visit with the co-host of Crane and Company from 2 to 3:30 Central Time this afternoon from Nashville, Tennessee. It'll be our good friend Jake Crane, and he's been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. It's a blue day in Alabama, Jake. Not a good weekend for Auburn and Alabama in this state.
No, I mean, look, Auburn's doing a great job of stacking up bad weekends for the state of Alabama. But, kind of like we talked about, last week heading into this game, it's still weird to see Alabama this mortal. It's still weird to see them bleed like this. And, you got to give credit to Tennessee. And, another thing, and another thing we talked about last week was if Tennessee was going to win this game, you've got to let it go a little bit. Like, you can't play run and hide and seek it the way that they played with Oklahoma, and they survived that one. And obviously Arkansas, they didn't. And then Florida, they did. And even though they didn't score 45 points, I thought Tennessee, they took their shots, right? They didn't hold anything back from a play calling standpoint. I thought Nico took as many risks as he's had all year. Now, he missed most of them. There are at least 3 occasions where he had guys wide open down the field that he missed, but at least he took the shot, which I think softened the Alabama defense enough to get Dylan Sampson going. But it's just, I tell you, man, the minute you think you know something in college football this season, and especially the SEC, you get handed something totally different.
Now, I mean, we saw Texas get hammered by Georgia, just took behind the shed. What does this mean? Is Georgia still a great team, or is there a great team in the SEC? Where are we standing as a conference right now at roughly the halfway point?
Well, I think we have a lot of really good teams. I don't know if we have a super elite team that everybody else has to chase, at least from a complimentary, football standpoint, offense, defense, and special teams. This year, and it's perfect for the 12-team playoff, and it's always been like this way to a certain extent, but sometimes there's teams that can play bad and get away with it because they're so talented. But you're going to have to show up in the postseason and play your best game every week this year. Or at least you better be able to win games in multiple ways and hope you catch a break against the team you're playing against. Because and that's the hardest part about coaching, is getting your guys up to play their best most weekends. I mean, Nick Saban said you could typically play your best about 4 to 5 times a year. You just hope it's the right 4 to 5 times a year. But in the landscape of college football this season, I mean, if you show up and you don't have at least your B game, I don't think there's a team out there that can get away with it because they're just so much more talented than everybody else.
And that's just kind of like Alabama right now.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, again, and Alabama's not a bad team. Nobody's saying anybody's bad, but you're not good enough to get away with going out there and just playing okay and trying to survive. It's the wild, wild west out here, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, this is Clark Kent before he went back to whatever the hell it was and went back to, and he had to get back inside the chamber to turn into Superman, right? I mean, this is what Alabama is.
Yeah, this is you just walking around writing stories for that newspaper.
Yeah.
Boy, what a game in Columbia, Missouri on Saturday. Jake, have you ever seen someone like a starting quarterback like Brady Cook go to the hospital to get an MRI and then come back, put everything back on and get back on the field and finish the game?
No, I haven't seen that, but it's amazing to watch Auburn find new ways to lose games. Like, it's actually incredible. It's like the Sudoku of losing. Like, is it a 7 here? Is it a 4? Well, it can't be a 4 here. It's at this point, and stuff that I've said over the last 4 to 5 weeks, I just think there's like a sickness with the older leadership on this team. They just don't know how to win. And the only way you get that out, you got to fumigate the place. You got to get out, right? Auburn needs to be studied. They need to send in some doctors from some organization we trust, any health organization we trust. They need to put up those big hazmat tents in Auburn, and they've got to get this sickness out. Get Dustin Hoffman down there from Outbreak. Let's figure it out. It's a sickness that I think the only way you get rid of is that these older players on the roster. You got to go. You've won nothing. It doesn't make you a bad person. I'm sure you'll be a great husband and father and insurance salesman and whatever, and that's super important. But as far as on the football field, you just got to let these young guys, learn how to win, and maybe they're learning what not to do from the older guys.
Yeah, and just the bizarro thing is Thorne wasn't great, but he didn't turn it over. I mean, he gave his team a chance when made a good throw to Cam Coleman. But the sinking feeling started when they missed a 30-yard field goal. Really probably should have scored a touchdown there. But when you can't convert that's another short miss from Magoo. And then you give up the third down and long to the QB. And then, of course, they give up that touchdown and 2-point conversion. It almost felt like it was inevitable that Auburn wasn't going to be able to finish.
Oh, well, this is who they are right now. I mean, it's not a shocker. I wasn't sitting. I was just waiting to see how they were going to lose throughout the game. Because again, if somebody shows you who they are enough, you need to believe them. And right now, this Auburn team, with the leadership they have, it's pseudo dysphagia, the fear of choking. Right? You don't want the moment. You wonder what's going to go wrong instead of wanting the moment and how to make it go right. And at this point, if you're Hugh Freeze, every one of these games you lose this year from here on out pretty much stacks a game you're going to have to win next year. And now you've definitely got to go to the transfer portal to get a quarterback, because you can't have a young guy out there and go through this again. The Auburn fan base just been through enough over the past 5 to 6 years. Guys, it's pathetic. Like, I don't know another way to – and, again, no personal animus toward anybody, and it seems the guys that always screw up for Auburn have the C on their jersey. I've never seen captains blow it as much as this group, whether it's defensively. Man, they always find 0, don't they? They pick on Keontae Scott, like he's a blind kid in an archery contest. It's incredible. But at this point, you just got to hope the season ends and you move on from these guys. Losers lose and winners win, and that's how this world works.
Jake, if you were a quarterback coach and you were sitting in the room and Jalen Milroe comes in and says, all right, what?
He's coach on the college level.
And you start down and you start looking at film together and you're sitting there with Jalen Milroe. What would you tell him right now?
Well, probably the thing that I would tell him the most is that you don't have to make every play a heroic play. It seems to me that Jalen, even in the game against Georgia, when he was absolutely cooking, he was taking risks. They were necessary risks, but he was also throwing the check down. He was also taking off and getting 3 yards and getting out of bounds if nothing was there. It seems like now, because the defense has been struggling, and I get it to a certain extent, he's trying to make every play a heroic play, and you just can't survive like that. Defenses, the book has kind of caught up on him a little bit, so he's having to adjust to the adjustment. He's getting a lot of zone coverage, which he's always kind of struggled with. But when you're not able to out-athlete somebody's defense, like Jalen Milroe wasn't able to do against Tennessee, not that he wasn't the best athlete on the field, but he wasn't able to just outrun everybody to the edge, right? He wasn't able to just break 3 tackles and do things that he's able to get away with against other defenses. And he really wasn't against South Carolina either, guys. So I would tell him, you have the skill set. You've shown the maturity. Now you just have to realize, look, there's nothing wrong. You'll never go broke making a profit. You'll never go broke getting 2 yards on first down as opposed to taking that risk across the middle, or as opposed to maybe not diagnosing the coverage perfectly, but throwing it blind anyway. That's probably the first thing I'd tell him.
Interesting.
Well, Jake, as far as Georgia, what a statement they made. They smashed Texas, dominated them at the line of scrimmage. Now it'll be interesting to see how Texas bounces back from this. But Georgia, certainly, you have to love the way they've responded since that loss in Tuscaloosa.
Without a doubt. And, I mean, this team has already been through the gamut of emotions, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows that you can pretty much go through in a regular season. So that'll do nothing but serve them well going forward. That was the Georgia team that I expected, that we've become used to seeing, right? Yeah. Overtly physical, overtly athletic, but also disciplined in what they do. I thought they out-disciplined Texas as well when it comes down to it. I know there was turnovers in the first half by Carson Beck, and you had the big one, obviously, in the second half. And, guys, neither one of these offensive played extremely well, in my opinion. Just one of them was able to find a run game in the second half, and the other one wasn't. We talked all week about how this Texas team seemed like the new Georgia, right? They're going to run it at you, play action, find their playmakers when they have to, and play suffocating defense and stop the run, excuse me. But this Texas team couldn't really stop Georgia once Georgia got going. And I thought the front seven from Georgia played like we're used to seeing a front seven from Georgia play. So if you're a Bulldog player, coach, or fan, you know you pretty much had to have that win. Now you can afford another loss and still make the playoff with 2 losses, which I don't think you're going to get more than one other one. It keeps you alive in the SEC championship race. But most importantly, it gives you the confidence to think, hey, we can not only still be in the hunt to win a national championship, if we go out there and bring our A game, we're really, really tough to beat.
Well, and now an interesting matchup is Texas A&M and LSU. A&M wasn't pretty, but they beat Mississippi State, and now LSU, they just destroy Arkansas on the road. What do we make of this one?
Well, the stakes couldn't be any higher in this game going forward. You look what happens if you're LSU and A&M with a win in this game. With the way the schedule sets up, it is massive going down the stretch. Not just being able to secure an at-large playoff berth, but get into the SEC championship. Now, when you look at both these teams, guys, I'm still so shocked that Mike Elko started Connor Wegman a couple weeks ago, but it ended up being the right decision. It must be like he's at practice or something. As far as what this A&M team can do, they can shut down the run, that's for sure. And if there's a game where Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to create maybe a little bit more, where that anticipatory throwing is going to have to be at a very high level, it's going to be this one, because Elko's in this defense is talented enough to be able to run base elements that even shut you down, but find a way on third down to get after you. But, guys, the A&M defense isn't the story of this matchup. It's this transformation of this LSU defense under Blake Baker, who we've got to start talking about in the Broyles Award conversation. They're playing team defense. They've lost a bunch of really good players, including Harold Perkins for the season. But, guys, it seems to me that Whit Weeks has become what people thought Harold Perkins is going to be.
Yeah, he's been tremendous.
And you bring up the Broyles Award. What about the SEC Coach of the Year? Saturday, Clark Lee has another chance to add his name to that potential list because they play host to Texas.
Look, if Clark Lee beats Alabama and Texas in the same year at Vanderbilt, not only should he win the SEC Coach of the Year, he should be federally investigated as well.
Well, that's unreal.
You just can't go around. You just can't go around doing that.
That's in the twilight zone. But last question, and great stuff from Jake Crane as always. Is everybody, Alabama and Auburn, are they both going to be, jumping off bridges after Saturday, or can they both get in the win column?
Well, I mean, look, this Missouri team, I feel like from a matchup standpoint against Alabama, not that there's a bunch of teams that match up really well. I think it's a really bad matchup for them that they were able to get by, poor old Auburn. But I think Alabama will turn it around. As far as Auburn's best bet on the board, 2 best bets on the board. Bet on Auburn to lose and Army to cover.
There you go.
The Redstone Arsenal and Army football. Well, great stuff, Jake. Have a great show later this afternoon, man. We always appreciate your time.
All right, y'all be good. Appreciate you having me.
We got to get a break in. When we come back, your tomorrow's headlines today. There's a couple coaches around the country that are waking up today unemployed.
Oh,
we'll fill you in. Yeah, we'll fill you in coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they're wrapping up the wreck southbound on the Hudson Memorial Bridge headed into Decatur. Had the right lane blocked off there. Got a wreck Parkway in Drake. Got one Parkway in Martin. Both of those are trying to clear. Had one Shady Grove in front of Austin High School in Decatur. That one may still be working. Central and 3rd should be wrapping up. Had 67 northbound at 6 Mile Road in Somerville. And we had 31 south in Linwood. That one had a motorcycle involved involved in Decatur. They've got southbound still closed up there. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We mentioned that there's a few college coaches and coordinators looking for new jobs on this Monday. One of those with ties to North Alabama, former UNA and Harlan Hill Award winner. Harlan Hill is the Heisman Trophy equivalent for Division II. Will Hall fired at Southern Miss. He was let go. They were off to a 1-6 start this year. Hall 14-30 in 3 seasons at Southern Miss. He did a fantastic job at West Georgia. He did a fantastic job as offensive coordinator there at Tulane for a few years as well. Some potential names for that job could be Miami offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson, Florida State defensive backs coach Patrick Surtain, a Southern Miss alum, by the way, and former UAB head coach Bill Clark, possibly on that list there at Southern Miss, as well as Birmingham Stallions head coach Skip Holtz. Those are some of the names getting fired off for that opening.
Yeah, I hate it for Will. That job, ever since they fired Jeff Bauer many years ago, who was an alum. Now, they did have some success with Larry Fedora before he went to North Carolina, but I'd never really understood the Jeff Bauer firing.
Right.
I think he was an alum, perfect fit. They had a really good program, won so many big games over the years, Florida State, Alabama, Nebraska, you name it. They just never been the same. And, it's a hate if it didn't succeed for Will, but also Mike Houston at East Carolina, he gets the zig. And then I know you were talking about the long black day for Oklahoma.
Yeah, they get drubbed by South Carolina.
And Seth Luttrell, the offensive coordinator, is shown the door in his first year. So taking over for Jeff Levy as Brent Venables trying to save himself. He's really feeling the heat right now.
He is feeling the heat.
Yeah, in year 3.
He's feeling the heat defensively. And Oklahoma started off okay.
Yeah.
And then the rails just haven't come off. The whole entire ship is sinking. They're going down, and he may be going down with the ship as well.
At the station a lot lately when they're trying to shut it, it ain't working.
Oh, welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma.
And Texas. The eyes deep in the heart of overrated. You're not running through this league undefeated.
Well, we made it through the show without throwing stuff all over Bill Penny Toyota.
I didn't say the F word.
Well, that's good. They would have serviced your car for free if you would have done it. They would have changed their mind.
Oh, come on.
They would have changed your mind. They would have said $300. Nope, free. My bad.
No, if I had thrown the Comrex, they would have. No, we're not doing that.
All right, we got to get. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning in studio. Thanks for all the phone calls.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson